Well, hey there, homies. This is Sarah.
And this is Ashley. And this is Hometown Homicide. Don't like your privates.
I just hit record right before you said that. Oh. That was certainly meant for Coco over here. Oh my god, that's too funny. I'm gonna have to leave that in.
And Coco's like, what did I do?
Right? She's like, oh, you guys are being loud. What the fuck?
She's been naughty.
She has been naughty.
Because I'm moving, so I have boxes stacked up, so she thinks she can get on the fireplace mantle where my TV is.
And get behind the TV.
She's like, what is all this extra space up here? Space you're not allowed in.
It's a lovely day.
It's beautiful.
Supposed to storm like fuck later.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to get my boxes out of my car, inside, packed. I need to do some decluttering. The fun parts of moving, but it's finally happening.
So yay.
Stressful. Also, I do have to be out of my place on June 30th. I may not be able to get into my new place until July 9th at the latest. That's 8 days of being homeless. I've never been homeless before. So and I do work from home, so I don't know how this is going to work. With 2 cats, by the way. I'm stressed.
Excuse me. Which, oh, yeah, so like you mentioned, since you will be moving and stuff, it's going to be hard for you to do an episode or 2 or, whatever. I don't know how we're going to handle that because we didn't talk about that in advance. We might have to space out a week or 2 or something. And
yeah, or if someone wants to send us a story and I can read it. I mean, I can take a couple hours to record. I just can't take, how long it takes us to research. I don't have time.
I can always try to do like another bizarre news in substitute for one of your ones or whatever, and then because finding them isn't that difficult to, whatever. I don't have to put a story together. I just have to find the little.
Just say bizarre news Florida, and you're going to have, we would have hours of content. I
know, but I like to stick to the Midwest.
I know.
But again, at least we're sticking to the America because, that's our jam.
That's what we're known for.
Specifically. But yeah, so we'll try to still do something each week, but it might not be full in-depth.
Now, next week,
whatever.
This table won't be here to put our microphones on and the array of food we have laid out because this is going bye-bye. I'm purging a lot.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, sorry. Just wanted to remind you we still have the review contest going on until July 1st. Might extend that just a little bit just because June 30th is when I'll become homeless. So I don't know when I'll be able to get a chance to announce that because I will
be a little preoccupied.
Yes. So we might extend the contest, but I did want to say thank you to Kathy H95 for your review. Love it. And then we also had Andy who left us a review on Facebook.
Doing a solid for us, Andy. Thank you.
So you both got entries into the contest. So thank you for that. I'm keeping track of every single one that we get.
Yeah, and don't forget about your bonus entries you can get by doing reviews or ratings and then send us a picture or whatever to prove it because you can't really prove it on Spotify.
Spotify, you can't see who left a review, so if you just take a screenshot of the stars filled in, I can get your bonus entry and then also Good Pods. Listen on Good Pods. You can leave a review you get only one and bonus entry, but leave as many reviews as you want to because you can do it per episode. just, a reminder. And if you are new to listening, if you leave a review on Facebook, must be following us. 5 stars, I guess it's not 5 stars. On Facebook, you just have to say that you recommend us. You get entered into our contest to win some merch. And then if you leave a review on Apple, Spotify, and or Good Pods, you can get up to 3 bonus entries. So a total of 4 entries to win. But we do have Heather, Marsha, and Samantha all have 2 entries in so far.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then there's some other ones that have 1 entry, but yeah, they're the only ones that have 2 entries.
Mm-hmm. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are...
Yes. Yes. And, she did a really bad job. She made herself to look like a liar.
She is.
But on Twitter, she put a response like, this goes against the Me Too. No, sweetie, you lying goes against Me Too. Mm-hmm. Like, clearly he was the one that was abused. Mm-hmm. You recorded stuff to make him look bad when all it did was make you look bad.
Yeah.
She ruined it for herself, which, good. I'm glad the liar got called out.
Right.
Liars should be called out. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm really happy for Johnny Depp. I actually had a very vivid dream about him the other night, and I was like, that was weird. Like, we knew each other. So maybe that was me manifesting that we are going to know each other.
Maybe. Maybe he listens to true crime and is falling in love with us. Not in, like, a love way, but like, oh my god, these girls are so fun.
Wouldn't that be the dream?
Oh my god, these girls are so fun. They're the reason the rum is always gone. In local Iowa news, the 3 dead in shooting outside of Cornerstone Church in Ames.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And he knew it was a targeted one. Doesn't make it better, but
right.
It wasn't a random...
The public wasn't in danger. Quote, quote.
Because he took his own life.
Well, but also since it was targeted, like that one down here at Taboo or whatever, like the police said that it was a targeted situation. So
the mass shootings and the gun violence is just out of control right now.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, sorry, not my story yet, but Happy Pride Month.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just like
we should change our logo.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do a rainbowy one for the month.
A double HH with rainbows and then underneath Hometown Homicide.
Yes, we're all accepting here of the
100%.
Entire Alphabet Mafia.
Yes, the Alphabet Mafia.
Pride. Cedar Rapids Pride isn't until next month, like the celebration. But I'm going to take the day off. I already told Michelle, don't forget, I need that Saturday off in July 9th. Pride stuff down at Nubo.
See, I don't tell my boss to listen. I need to get out of that company for sure.
Let's see, I love Michelle, so I'm glad she listens. And then I got her to start listening to Morbid, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, Happy Pride Month. Be yourself. Fuck anybody else. Who cares?
Fuck them.
Be happy. That's what matters.
Yes.
All right, now, without further ado, we can get into...
Drum roll, please. Coco's like, excuse me.
Why were you like that?
I'm trying to sleep.
So, this case, I don't have, like, graphic details or anything like that, but trigger warnings up front. It does talk about rape. So, if you can't handle that, then this is your warning to just skip the rest of the episode or skip towards the end and have a good day or, whatever. It doesn't talk about it all throughout, but some people are affected differently.
For sure. I mean...
On April 24th, 1995, a woman's life was forever changed by a sorry excuse for a human being named Leander Clay Jr. Leander abducted, raped, and sodomized a woman for hours, forced her from his car, but luckily left her alive and plenty capable of helping put him behind bars for life. And while he is obviously a monster, this happened also in part due to, surprise, surprise, the system failing. You look confused. You're just
I'm
listening. Okay.
Soaking this
You
in.
are not confused. You just seemed very concerned. I was like, did you have a question? What did I do? The name of the survivor of Leander's attack was not mentioned in any of the articles as to protect her identity. But I did decide I'm going to call her Alice instead of referring to her as the woman or the victim, as she is more important than her attacker, and she should at least be heard about by like a name instead of just a general noun. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Alice, who is a 42-year-old mother of two, stopped at a 7-Eleven at about midnight to use the payphone, because 1995. Leander Clay Jr., 37 years old, had previously parked at the gas station and was just waiting for someone he chose as his prey.
Jeez.
He grabbed Alice by the neck from behind as she was returning to her car after making her telephone call and dragged her to his vehicle. She put up a fight, as Alice is definitely a bad bitch, but Leander beat her and punched her in the head, subduing Alice enough to get her secured in his car before taking off with her. I never saw it mentioned, like the location that he drove to, but for 2 hours, Leander assaulted Alice. He raped and sodomized her and also beat her and threatened her, threatened to kill her when she tried to look at him. Alice quit struggling to save her own life, and she also focused on something else. She memorized what the interior of his car looked like and even managed to snag a cassette tape from the inside of the car in hopes of having evidence later of her attacker. When Leander was done satisfying his despicable and vicious cravings, he drove back in the direction of the 7-Eleven, forcing Alice from his car just blocks away, like 3 blocks. I looked it up on the Google Maps. I almost said MapQuest because I had a stroke. Like literally 3 blocks away, where she then ran back to the gas station, which also, luckily enough, police were already on scene because she had left her car running when she stopped to make the phone call. So the last 2 hours, this car's been sitting there running, and
I'm surprised no one stole it.
You know, I mean, someone maybe noticed it right away.
Because you don't leave your car running here for 5 minutes and leave it unattended without somebody snatching it, unfortunately.
Or at least ransacking the inside. Alice was taken to McKinnon Hospital to be treated. Her son picked her car up from the gas station and then went to the hospital to check on his mother. Because of the hits that she had taken to the face, one of her eyes was swollen shut, which actually trapped her contact in for 3 days until the swelling went down. Her other contact had popped out from another hit to her head. Alice required stitches for other injuries and was covered in bruises. But like I said, Alice is a bad bitch, and she gave a description of her attacker's vehicle. I'm sure she gave it to police, but also to her son, who then went cruising the loop in search of his mother's attacker. Which, side note, there's literally an article I found that said he, quote, drove around the loop with a capital L. And it made me laugh because, I don't know about Anamosa, but Monticello, we had a loop that we cruised.
So did we.
And I was just like, cruise the loop? Like, what? That's silly. Did that all the time. Back, wasting gas for no good reason.
But it wasn't $4 a gallon.
Oh, right. It was like $1.15 or something.
Or less.
Yes. The best was sitting in the back of, like, one of the guys' pickup trucks in the bed as we were cruising. And, of course, if you loitered too long in the bank parking lot or Happy Joe's, the cops would come in, like, you guys can't sit here. It's like, okay. So then we drove around some more. But we could always loiter in the school parking lot. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, as Alice's son was on his mission, he did see a vehicle matching the description his mother gave him, and he wrote down the license plate number and gave it to police. And wouldn't you know it, that car belonged to Leander Clay Jr.
I just don't like his name.
Yeah.
Like, even his name is just ew.
When police talked to Leander's live-in girlfriend, she said that they had an argument earlier that night, and then he left the home, returning hours later at around 3 a.m., which tracks because he abducted Alice at well past midnight for 2 hours, and then whatever, and then went home. She also said that the cassette tape that Alice had snagged indeed at least matched one of the ones that would have been in the car. On top of all this...
So it should have fingerprints then, correct? 1995, they should be able to fingerprint.
Probably, but it wasn't ever mentioned. On top of all this, there was blood that didn't belong to Leander on his clothes and on the inside of the car. In 1995, DNA testing wasn't what it is now, but authorities were able to determine that Alice's blood shared traits with only 0.37% of the human race. So statistically, it looked incredibly likely to be hers. Leander's alibi for the time of Alice's attack, do you have a guess what his alibi was?
Well, he's a shitty person, so...
He claimed he was making a drug deal.
Okay, I wasn't gonna... I didn't even think to go that far. I mean, what idiot... What the fuck?
Yeah, but, he was making a drug deal, so clearly he couldn't have been the one that assaulted her. It took the jury less than 3 hours of deliberation to conclude that Leander Clay Jr. was guilty of kidnapping, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault on September 29th of 1995. He later was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole the day after Christmas of the same year. That's what you get for being on Santa's naughty list, asshole.
You should get more than that.
The judge that presided over the case, Judge William Surska Jr., said that Leander's sentencing, said at Leander's sentencing, quote, "I believe, along with the jury, that you did it. This case, I believe, is a woman's worst nightmare." Deputy State's Attorney Jim Eosti sought life without parole on each count for Leander because of the violence used and his criminal background. Eosti also said that he believed Leander had done this before, or at very least contemplated the scenario before, due to the methods he used and the boldness with which he executed them.
Question.
So, yes.
Since Alice survived, wouldn't she be able to ID him and from a lineup, and also, because that's going to be, okay, well, we know we have the right person, and also testify, or did she not?
She did testify. She wasn't, because anytime she was trying to look at him is when he was hitting her and threatening to kill her and stuff, so that's why, and then...
But she still saw him.
She was unable to verify by his face who it was. But the inside of the car, her blood on his clothes, and in the inside of the car, and cassette tape and stuff. There was a thing I saw in one of the articles that she didn't identify him, and then she said, I guess when I, saw him not in a panic, not, whatever, she's like, I guess I thought he looked too fat to be the guy that attacked her. I mean, not funny, but not funny.
Right.
Leander insisted that he was innocent. A wrongly identified man that happened to have the same color of car as Alice's attacker. A quote from the convicted felon himself. "To this date, I'm still innocent. I myself feel raped, robbed, assaulted, and kidnapped of being able to watch my children graduate from high school."
Yuck.
Like, you fucking asshole. He also wanted and was granted a new public defender, as he claimed that the original one assigned and used for trial conspired with police officials to plant evidence and frame him.
Of course they did.
Yeah. He was later also convicted as being a habitual offender, fitting criteria as he clearly had at least 3 prior felony convictions, including 2 crimes of violence. I was curious what defined who was a habitual offender, A habitual offender, repeat offender, or career criminal is a person convicted of a crime who was previously convicted of crimes. Various state and jurisdictions may have laws targeting habitual offenders and specifically providing for enhanced or exemplary punishments or other sanctions. They are designed to counter criminal recidivism by physical incapacitation via imprisonment. Basically, they're gonna fucking keep doing the same shit over and over again. Usually the sentence is greatly enhanced. In some circumstances, it may be substantially more than the maximum sentence for the crime. So a lot of times rape doesn't get, or, burglary, kidnapping, whatever, might not get life, but since he was the habitual shitbag, they made sure that he did get life. Mm-hmm. As for Leander's criminal history, he was a 6-time convicted felon.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. But he didn't do it.
Right. No, yes, he was framed.
Just matched everything. Okay.
Prior felony convictions. May 12th, 1978, second-degree burglary, Kansas City, Missouri. October 20th, 1980, theft, Kansas City. Just says Kansas City, I don't know which one. December 17th, 1982, robbery, Topeka, Kansas. January 7th, 1983, robbery, theft, and perjury in Lansing, Kansas. May 1st, 1987, burglary and stealing in Jefferson City, Missouri. And then July 29th, 1991, conspiracy to commit robbery in Olathe, Kansas.
I mean, I know this crime doesn't match up with the other ones he's been convicted of, but, like...
That's just the convictions.
You still have that mentality that you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. The one article I read said, Clay's prison record in Kansas shows a man who used every chance at freedom to commit more crimes. He was only 20 years old for the first felony conviction for burglary in Kansas City, Missouri. The second conviction, he was sentenced to prison for 3 to 10 years. Thanks, Train. He made parole and then returned to prison 7 months later for robbery. After the burglary and theft in May of 1987 in Jeff City, he was sent back to the Kansas prison in 89 for violating the conditions of his release. So in September 1992, he was paroled to Missouri from Kansas. I don't know, it's like a banishment, I feel. Like, hey, you're still on parole, but we don't want you in this fucking state anymore. So they sent him to Missouri. And that was the result of his, like, last conviction before the attack on Alice. When he fled the state of Missouri in April of 1993, Kansas issued a warrant for his arrest. So the worst part of all this, Leander should have already been in custody when he attacked Alice. Kansas officials had been on the hunt for Leander as he had fled while on probation. Just 6 weeks before his attack on Alice, Sioux Falls police had stopped him for a traffic violation in December of 1994. When authorities ran his information, they discovered he was a fugitive from justice. So he was arrested and taken into custody. There was an arraignment on December 19th, 1994, where his bail was set to a mere $1,000, which was easily posted. They set it so low because South Dakota officials didn't have his entire rap sheet and subsequently had no knowledge of what level and frequency he enjoyed breaking the law. From the time Leander was charged as a fugitive, the Kansas Corrections Department had 90 days to send extradition papers for his return to the state of Kansas. The paperwork in question was never provided to the South Dakota Attorney General's office. There were multiple hearings set to deal with the extradition, but the proper offices in South Dakota just kept waiting and waiting for the paperwork to show up from Kansas officials. Bill Miskell, a spokesman for the Kansas Corrections Department, was quoted as saying, "We wanted him back." Well, you clearly didn't want him fucking that bad. In fact, a spokeswoman for the Kansas governor's office named Sandra Moran stated that the governor did not receive the requisition forms until almost 2 months after the 90-day window had expired. Bill Miskell claimed that it was, quote, a delay in the paperwork process, and, quote, I wouldn't characterize it as a screw-up. Well, what would you call it then?
Right.
You had 90 days to get your shit together.
Also, I was going to add, I heard, it was Crime Junkie, they were doing one episode a while ago about the 3-strike rule. I think it's in California. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But where it's like 1 felony, 1 strike. 2nd felony, 2 strikes. Not how numbers work.
That was
and then your final one, like, you get
life.
Like,
Yes,
there's
which is kind of the same as the habitual offender thing.
But, like, it didn't really... So, like, one person got charged a felony for stealing a piece of pizza and got sentenced to life in prison for that. Like, that...
Right, there...
You know,
it's hard
like,
because you would think it would be a black and white situation, but
it's not always.
That's kind of a barely gray, stealing a piece of pizza.
Right.
I mean, you would think that there would be requirements, but like if it's a violent or, you know, offense.
Right. Yeah, 3-strike rule, it's like, this guy should, I mean, he had more than 3 strikes at this point.
Yeah. And I don't have the details on exactly what went on for his other felonies, but...
And, something like this extreme, he's done this before and got away with it.
Like the guy said, or if he hasn't, he's at least thought about it a lot.
Because unfortunately, most people don't come forward.
Mm-hmm. So at the end of those 90 days, since they've failed on all the paperwork stuff, Leander was free to scour the Sioux Falls area for ideas and inspiration for his next crime. Unfortunately, Alice became his muse for that 7th felony. I did read that he appealed his conviction, but it didn't do him any good. Leander Clay Jr. remained rotting in prison until 2013. With the insistence that he was wrongfully convicted, a nonprofit organization based in New York called the Innocence Project filed a motion on his behalf. The motion requested new DNA testing to be done, as science and technology had advanced dramatically over those 18 years. Leander signed an affidavit petitioning the court for this new testing and professing his innocence once again. It wasn't until the next year, 2014, when the tests were completed. Of those much more advanced and detailed results, Minnehaha, I think I'm saying that right, County State's Attorney Aaron McGowan was quoted as saying, "We did confirm that the victim's blood was on the defendant's shorts." So his insistence on doing this DNA test sealed his fucking fate.
Yep. Perfect.
The testing that he so desperately wanted and requested literally secured his fate for the remainder of his days. Leander Clay Jr. remains incarcerated at the South Dakota State Penitentiary as we speak. Hey, I didn't struggle to say penitentiary that time.
So why would he want and fight so hard to have that tested when he knew for sure, a fucking fact, that was going to be her blood?
I don't know, unless it was just to stick it to everybody and waste their time. Or if he didn't believe in DNA stuff.
And this is the type of person, the Innocence Project, they should actually focus on actual innocent people.
Right.
And I know it's hard to say.
Took their time and resources
just
from someone
else. Just because
else.
they're innocent doesn't mean they are. But a lot of times, there is no evidence to show that they're guilty. Mm-hmm. Zero. Mm-hmm. Wrong place, wrong time type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they took their time on this guy, 6 felonies. Come on, guys, are you actually gonna believe him? And then
maybe it was because there hadn't been any other assaults, rapes, things like that. Angry. It does definitely suck, but at least they proved that it for sure was him, and so then no one had to worry about it anymore. It's oh well, have fun. As far as Alice goes, I hope she's thriving out there somewhere and remembering what a strong, beautiful, smart, bad bitch she is, and that by her actions, she most likely saved future women from being future targets for that man.
Well, I'm glad she made it out of that okay. I mean, you'll never be okay after that, but...
It could have gone a lot worse. So, yes. And not a victim. She's a survivor, so... What the fuck, computer? I didn't talk to you.
A more serious...
Stop it!
What is it doing?
It's got a... I didn't say Cortana. Yeah, I didn't even say it. It's supposed to be a trigger word, kind of like Alexa or, whatever.
Siri.
Yeah. And motherfuckers sometimes thinks I say it. I'm I didn't fucking say anything. I'm not asking you a question. But yeah, she's not a victim. She's a survivor, so hope she's doing well. And I hope he gets some of the same treatment that he put out in the world while he's behind bars.
Usually makes that happen.
Yeah.
To shitbags like that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty positive, if my math is correct, that this checked off the last Midwest state. We hadn't done a South Dakota one yet.
We had not.
Murder in Minot was North Dakota. So.
Which recently became solved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you find anything else out about that? What...
I haven't seen any updates.
DNA, or not DNA, but what evidence they had to finally arrest her after so long? No?
I haven't seen any posts. I mean, I haven't searched it out either, but I hadn't seen any posts from the Facebook group or anything like that.
Because they had to have had something. I know we talked about it before, but... Anyways, if there's anything you guys want to hear, I know we did get an email
yes,
from
which
one of
we
our
read.
listeners. We just haven't responded yet. Don't worry.
That's true. We didn't respond. We both just read it.
I read it very early in the morning, right before work. So we'll reread it again and then reach out if we have any questions. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for the reviews. We appreciate you.
But yeah, rate us, like us, love us, share us, comment, follow us on the medias, Hometown Homicide Podcast, Ope Murder on Twitter. Anything else? Probably not.
Not that I can think of.
Like Ashley had a friendly reminder at the beginning, don't lick your privates. The cat is sleeping now, so luckily she didn't cause a ruckus the rest of the time.
She did not. She was good.
Remember, we want to tell stories to you and not about you, so stay safe.
And this was Hometown Homicide.